Hiya, we're trying to get funding for our game Boatmania. It's an online computer game that's a racing game. I'm Charlotte, this is Katie and Hannah. Thanks for listening.
So an overview of our game, the genre is an adventure racing game, but it's based on the ocean, so it's very similar to like your Mario Karts or your other racing games. Like you can get Subway Surfers, which is basically a racing game on your phone, but it's all based on the ocean and in speedboats. So due to this, our target group is children to young adults, so around 5 to 18, both genders, because we looked at other similar games which kind of highlighted to us like who plays those and what the main audience is. Like we understand that there'll be some parents who will play with children because that's how families bond and stuff. So our platform we chose for PC/computer, so whether this be on a laptop or on a PC desktop computer, there isn't much system requirements for it, so you just basically need like the general 8 gig of RAM, it's about 50 gig of memory, which is standard for most computers where it'll fit on there. It can be bought in a disc or downloaded from the internet. We thought that we'd use this platform as it's easier controls, so up, down, side to side to control your boat, and it's also most households will have a computer in it, so it fits quite a lot of people, whereas if it was to be Xbox based, people would have to have the Xbox and like it's just different consoles, whereas computers are usually based in every house. So our game is quite unique in the fact that the opponents are mixed between fantasy and reality. So we've got a few which are your general thugs, where they will fight with the players, like have general weapons like guns and stuff, whereas we've got others like this one here, which is our boss from level 5, and this one can fire out of its mouth and things like that. It can make waves in the ocean, it can control the rest of it. So there's a very mix between, like, there's a variety of all the different types of enemies that you can find. It's not just based on one thing, which I think is quite unique, whereas most games will have a set type of enemy, whereas ours change, which helps to like change the difficulty throughout the game and make it harder or make it easier depending on which one. It also allows us to introduce a lot of different weapons and scenarios that wouldn't happen if we had it in just one set theme. So our game setting, like I said before, is on the ocean, but this is going to be around the world, and then due to the different types of enemy, then there's going to be different supernatural aspects, whether it'll be new sea creatures, new creatures overall, really. Just it can be something that's based on real life, or it can be something that's we've completely made up and it's completely mystical. The atmosphere, depending on the level, will be all obviously water based, but some of our levels will have tropical aspects like palm trees and things. Others will be very dark and very stormy and have lightning and thunderstorms, and level to level the player can move around the world and see different things and really just expand the variety of what they're playing with. The soundtrack, we chose different types of music for different scenarios. So obviously when you lose, there's a sound effect which is like a defeating sound. Everybody knows what you mean when you talk about a defeat sound. Like it's just really low and really dark music. Whereas when you win, we was thinking like I am the champion, things like that, like things that really like get you going. And then obviously because it's based on the ocean and stuff, we thought of like Yellow Submarine, like the Hawaii Five-0 theme tune, things that you do associate with water, which obviously fits with our game really well.
So this is a game starring characters. As you can see, they're all very different. The backstory is the main character, which has got the white background and in the blue. I can't get words out. He was a sailor and he'd been brought up with quite a wealthy background, and he'd always been around boats and on the sea, and he had a crash and ended up on a deserted island. He then went into the sea and he found the... What is it called? Is it Triton?
Yeah.
Trident, which gave him superpowers, which meant he can like shoot water from his hands. And obviously, because he's grown up with always being on the sea, he's gone round and tried to defeat all these characters, which Trident's helped him to do, because that's what he wanted. As you can see, the top one, he's called Victor. He's in the first 2 levels, and he's a very big, largely built man. He is human, and his weapons are his fists. He can throw punches and stuff at your character, which would be the one in the blue. And then you've got the boss, which Hannah said he comes at level 5. He throws like fireballs, makes waves, which obviously makes it harder to complete the race. And then you've got the Crook. He is one of the hardest characters to beat, because he's obviously really old and he's been on the sea for a long time. There is a massive range of characters from humans and supernatural characters, which is what we tried to get across, as there is a bit of a mystical side to the game. And then the NPCs would just be at the beginning of the game explaining what happens and explaining how to complete the game, and then when you get onto a new level, just explaining what's different in that level, and what different after you've unlocked things, because you can collect coins throughout the game, the NPCs can explain to you on the page. So visual references are for Blue Planet, as it's our game is obviously based on the sea, so watching that and watching a few clips can just give us the information that we need to make sure that the game's correct with all the visuals and things. As the game is a speedboat racing game, which is in first person, it can be compared to games like Sonic Spinball. I think there's a Sonic game that's based on the sea, which it's quite similar to. Continuous racing games, and Mario Kart as well. There is the Mario game, which is in the picture at the bottom, that can the user interface controls can be compared to that as well, which are in the left hand corner. Obviously we'd have up and down as well to carry on going, and then the left and right buttons, which can be used on the keyboard. The artist references games like The Sims, which are very lifelike. Charles London, he creates the characters based on real life people, which obviously we've got in our game, so we could take some information off him. Music videos we've taken inspiration from as well, really colourful videos like pop videos, for instance like Nicki Minaj videos. She's a very colourful artist. Then characters again from similar games like Mario Kart. They are a bit cartoony, but obviously because it's not gonna be like properly lifelike, we can take inspiration from them. And then, as you can see on the picture on the left hand, I'm blocking it. The controls and the basic user interface. So this is what you'd be able to see. We'd obviously have the arrows like on the keyboard, up and down to carry on going, and then left and right if you want to move the boat side to side. And then you'd have at the top, like there, how many coins you've collected on the way, and then how fast you've done the game. And then we could have at the top if you're in first, second or third place, however many players you're playing against. Have I gone to the next? Yeah. And the gameplay mechanics. It is a single player game, but it can be played with friends if you connect through the computer. They are interactive with enemies to an extent, but obviously communication, you can't really talk to them because you're playing the game. The main actions are driving the boat, collecting the coins, trying to win the game in order to get to the next level. When you're playing with friends, trying to beat them, so you can win prizes at the end, which include new weapons for your person, new costumes for your person, new boats which are faster and more efficient. The victory of the game obviously is winning it, collecting as many coins as possible. Also, as you get higher up in the game, you can go on to things that are boosts that like make you either go faster, if the boss is making waves, go over the waves, and obviously the difficulty increases as the races go up. Like Hannah said, it gets a lot darker as you go around the world when the levels go up.
So the visual style and concept art, so it's based in the sea. So it's actually spread across different oceans, so as the levels go on, so it goes through the Mediterranean Ocean, which has a completely different visual style compared to the Atlantic. So it's got tropical creatures, it's sunny, the waves are calm, there's sharks which can get in the way. And the enemies are different on these levels as well. Whereas the Atlantic Ocean, it'll have harsh waves, icebergs, polar bears, and it brings complete different visual style from like the lighting, the creatures that are in there, the like scenery. It's in first person perspective, which makes the actual world seem even more realistic because you're seeing it through the player's eyes. So it makes avoiding obstacles and the challenges that come across both and all the different kinds of oceans, like that'll be directly in front of you. So when they're trying to avoid the obstacles, it's more like realistic and it's more interactive, you get more involved and you feel a better sense of victory when you do avoid the obstacles. Our first person perspective also means that the enemies can talk to you and not the enemies, but you can have non-playing characters which tell you how to play the game, which is good for children. So because our game's aimed at 5 to 18, so the people that are 5 years old will need to be told how to play the game, which is where the non-playing characters come in and tell you. Another thing about the art concept is, as you can see on that side of the screen, it's blue. We've spent a lot of time to make sure that it's real to life. So we have very good graphics and high quality of graphics to make sure it is an animated game. However, like Katie said, it's like Sims. It is supposed to look like real life and feel like they're actually racing. First person's perspective means that they are actually driving the boat. So they can see the steering wheel and they'll see it as though a sailor actually would. Other interesting features is that as you level up there is different enemies and it's a mixture of mythical and real life characters. So as Hannah and Katie went into a lot of detail about the other characters like Boss and Crook and Victor, so do you want me to go into detail again? So
don't need to.
Not need to.
No.
And I think that because of the different settings throughout the Mediterranean and Atlantic Sea, it keeps it interesting for the player. So it's not just a racing game, you're actually getting a lot of like geography knowledge as well. So you're going through and you're seeing different scenes as well. I feel like it could be considered quite an educational game at the same time. And that's why it's good, because it is based between 5 and 18-year-olds as well. So an actual interesting feature which is like a premium feature is that you can pick your own type of music, for example, off like the top 40. This is similar to FIFA, where they actually have their own FIFA tracks which are like songs that are like emerging songs. And I think that's a feature that a lot of people do like on FIFA, so it's like a unique selling point. Another interesting feature is the leaderboard. You can interlink with like your friends, so a way to earn coins is across Facebook. So if you share it on Facebook, although it is a computer game, you can still like share it on Facebook and with your friends. And it's not you can't play against, you can't directly play against your friends, but you have like the leaderboard, so you can see how much coins you're earning. You can see like what upgrades they've got, because when you earn coins, you can buy upgrades like boosts, unlock different characters. So you and like different things to help you, like bombs, knives, stuff like that. and you can see how your friends are progressing as well from that leaderboard. General points. I think that throughout the whole slide, we've been going on about general points, so I didn't actually have much things to say about this. But I think like I think that good general points about our game is that it's unlike any other game, because most racing games are simple, bog standard, you just literally drive them through the ocean, whereas ours, it has so many different features, like it goes across the world, it has so many different enemies, more than we've shown you. It has different players you can unlock that have different skills. So the main character that we showed you can shoot water from his hand and bend water, but if you actually get up to a high enough level, you can unlock different like main players that have different skills. And throughout the game, like as you level up, the enemies teach you different skills. So in like level 1, the first person teaches you how to like fight physically, whereas like boss teaches you how to like dodge fire. And then as you get up with skilled racers, you obviously become a more skilled racer, and the players get more deeply invested in the game, and they want to continue to be able to level up. Another thing that I think is really interesting about this game is that it isn't actually interactive with your friends on like you racing them, but it's so interactive online and how it connects across different platforms.
I think as you covered as well, that it's educational. Parents will prefer the children to play it as well, because you're learning about the world as well as playing a game.
And there's less of like the dangerous aspect that's in a lot of games at the moment, you know, like Call of Duty and things where children are playing them and they're not of age, and it can be quite scary to children, whereas this is, you still have that fighting aspect and you still have that dangerous like fun for the children, but it's nothing that's going to end up scaring them or getting into bad habits.
And there's no like online paying as well, because I know from previous experience when I was younger, I spent about £200 on my mum's card accidentally, so that's not included, because I know that's happened to quite a few people, which is what we made sure didn't happen.
Yeah, because you simply just buy things with the coins that you've earned from winning
And
races, sharing.
You've got to do it yourself,
Which is a good thing as well, because it stops people getting better at the game and just because they've got the money, which I think is quite a unique selling point as well. Thanks for listening.
Okay, right, I've just got a couple of questions. Can you just give me some of the challenges or some of the goals that the user would...
Avoiding obstacles is a big one. So,
Okay.
like you say, in the Mediterranean Ocean, there's sharks to avoid, there's barrier reefs to avoid, there's like tropical fish that are in the way there, and then in the Mediterranean there's there's icebergs in the Arctic there's icebergs and there's rough seas. So the rough sea one's a big obstacle, because it's a lot harder to drive the boat on a rough sea. And I think
as the game gets bigger and there's more players as well, there'll be chances for like weekly challenges, so complete this level in less than 40 seconds and you will win this many it makes it more competitive, where if you can release more challenges dependent on the level.
And also if you go on the game like every day, you get coins and stuff, so
daily bonuses.
After one day you get a certain amount of coins, after another day you get an extra boost, after another day you unlock a character, and then after a week it goes and it starts again.
Okay, just one more thing. So what do you think will make people want to play it?
the fact that it's so different compared to other racing games. Like, there's nothing like this on the market.
And more recently, there's been less large-scale racing games that have been made.
Successful.
So, because you think racing game, and all I think about is Mario Kart, and that's old, and it's coming past its time, and there needs to be something that's new and more exciting with better levels and better graphics. And I think this is the type of game which does interest people, because it does get addicting, because you want to beat your best and you want to progress. And it's much like Candy Crush in the fact that more levels are released constantly and that you can just keep progressing throughout it. So I think as soon as we get those people to start playing, and once they do start playing, then they're just going to carry on.
And the fact that a lot of good points from different games have been taken, like Charlotte said, FIFA, the racing aspect of Mario Kart, some of the visuals from The Sims, like it's all the good parts of different games that have been put into one. So